It's time for an uncomfortable truth about January and New Year's resolutions. Right now, millions are repeating the same annual cycle, making the same promises, setting the same resolutions, and chasing the same idealized version of themselves they failed to become last year and the year before that. Here is the sting reality. 92% of New Year's resolutions are abandoned by February. Think about that. If you are currently holding a fresh journal, a new gym membership, and a vision board, statistically, you are highly likely to give it all up before Valentine's Day. This isn't due to a lack of willpower or inherent weakness. It's because you're operating under a dangerous delusion. The belief that a change on the calendar somehow changes you. It doesn't. The moment the confetti settles and the clock strikes midnight, you wake up the same person, governed by the same patterns and habits that kept you stuck for the previous 12 months. This isn't pessimism. It's the necessary reality check you need now before you waste another year relying on motivation alone for life transformation. I will show you precisely why resolutions fail, identify the habits sabotaging you from day one, and provide the path to truly make this year different. The solution doesn't lie in empty inspiration or promises, but in a complete rewiring of your approach to every single day starting now. The beginning of the year is always the same. You start with a burst of possibility, convinced this is your year. The calendar is a clean slate, ready to be filled with success. You make your list, set ambitious goals, maybe even make a public declaration that things will be different this time. That initial momentum hitting the gym, prepping healthy meals, waking up early lasts a week, perhaps two. But then the mid-January slump hits. The bed gets cozier. The gym suddenly feels like a monumental trek, and healthy eating is just too much hassle. One missed workout turns into a week of backsliding. Before you know it, you're trapped again. You're back to late night scrolling, back to the drive-thru, back to the same old habits. You're the person you were last December. Only now you're carrying a fresh load of guilt. This is the recurring cycle for nearly everyone. The gap between the person you swore you'd be on January 1st and the reality of February 1st is where good intentions fail. The real tragedy is the certainty that you will repeat this cycle next year. You promise yourself more discipline and motivation, but it won't work. The issue isn't timing or willpower. The fundamental problem is trying to build a new life on the shaky foundation of old habits. Right now, I want you to understand something. This year won't save you. Forget all the hype about 2026. The universe isn't hitting a reset button just because you got a new calendar. You won't suddenly want to work out, and your brain won't magically rewire itself just because you jotted down some goals on January 1st. Seriously. The only thing that actually changes your life is changing the little decisions you make every single day, your habits. Those invisible, automatic things you do without even thinking about them, those are the real drivers. Look at it this way. A year is just a container for time, and time doesn't care about your resolutions. It moves whether you use it or totally waste it. The calendar is a track, and every day is a lap. You can run that same lap 365 times and end up right where you started, just more tired and bummed out. Or you can slightly shift your direction on each lap, day by day, until you end up somewhere completely different. That's what this year is really about. It's not about that burst of motivation on January 1st. It's about those small choices you make on January 8th, March 15th, or September 9th. The year itself doesn't define you, your habits do. So let's talk about the 3 habits that are killing your potential right now in these early days of the year. These are the patterns most people fall into every single January, and they're the reason why December always feels like a repeat of last December. So, the first big mistake, I call it the I start later habit. It's that sneaky belief that you can only kick things off when everything's absolutely perfect, when the stars align, when you finally feel totally ready. And let's be honest, January is the peak season for this mindset. Everyone treats the whole month like a warm-up drill instead of the actual game. Here's the scene. You got two people, same age, same ambition. They both want to crush their fitness goals this year. Both are hyped up on January 1st. Person A signs up for the gym but decides they can't actually go until they snag the coolest workout gear, research the most intense program, and lock down a flawless meal plan. They spend the first couple weeks totally prepping, reading blogs, watching tutorials, mapping it all out. Person B just shows up to the gym on January 2nd in their worn-out shorts and a beat-up t-shirt. No master plan, just moving, just getting in the reps, just being there. By the time person A finally feels ready, maybe late January, person B has already logged 20 workouts. They've built serious momentum. They've messed up, fixed it on the fly, and are already noticing changes. And person A, still planning, still waiting, still hitting the snooze button on execution. Jump ahead to June. Person B is a different human, stronger, healthier, walking with a new swagger. Person A quit the gym back in March, convinced they just weren't cut out for it, that it was harder for them than everyone else, or that they somehow magically be more disciplined the next year. But it was never about discipline. It was about doing. I'll start later is a trap dressed up like a smart move. It feels responsible, like you're being super strategic and setting yourself up for guaranteed success. But really, you're just giving yourself a whole pass to procrastinate. I see it every single year. People spend January planning their side hustle instead of launching it, planning their book instead of writing it, planning their transformation instead of transforming. And here's the brutal truth. The plan doesn't matter if you never start. Action, even imperfect action, beats perfect planning every single time. The people I was envying, the ones who were crushing it, weren't smarter or more talented than me. They just started sooner. They were doing the work while I was dragging my feet. If there's one thing you need to ditch this month, this week, even today, is the habit of waiting for everything to be perfect. That moment doesn't exist, and it never will. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is literally right now, not tomorrow, not next Monday, not when you feel ready, now. The second major trap, often mistaken for going all in, is what I call intensity addiction. This habit is a total dream killer for New Year's resolutions and is basically self-sabotage in disguise. The intensity roller coaster. The minute January hits, it's like people flip a switch from 0 to 100 overnight. For example, you haven't hit the gym in 2 years, and suddenly you're signing up for a 7-day week commitment. Your diet is mostly fast food, and on January 2nd, you try to jump straight into strict keto. Nope. A total beginner decides they'll meditate for a solid hour every single morning. They crush it for a little while, maybe a few days or a couple of weeks, running on pure hype and willpower. Why all out fails? Here's the truth. Super intense efforts just aren't built to last. Intensity is a firework, not a bonfire. It's a bright flash that's over in seconds. Once the initial excitement wears off, you're left with nothing but burnout and a feeling that you messed up. But you didn't fail. The strategy was the problem. The lure of extreme challenges. Every January, this problem gets worse thanks to fitness folks pushing extreme challenges. 75-day hard programs, 0 cheat days, no rest, just a pure, relentless intensity. People jump on these because that high level of effort feels serious, productive, and like a total life makeover. The predictable crash. The pattern is almost always the same. Week 1, feeling like an absolute legend, the hero stage. Week 2, hello, exhaustion. Week 3, just plain miserable. Week 4, done, game over. The trap is a cycle where people push too hard, burn out, and conclude, I must not be disciplined enough. We observe this pattern constantly. Take the aspiring author who immediately commits to an unrealistic daily non-negotiable target of 3,000 words. They manage it for 5 days but are utterly drained by day 6. By day 8, they've stopped writing altogether. By the following month, they've abandoned the project, convinced they lack the talent to be a real writer. However, their ability wasn't the issue, their strategy was. While intensity feels exciting, consistency is tedious, but it's the tedious approach that ultimately triumphs. The individual who consistently writes 200 words a day will complete a book long before the one who tries for 3,000 words daily for a week and then quits. Similarly, a person who maintains a sustainable schedule of 3 gym sessions a week for a year will achieve greater physical transformation than the person who goes 7 days a week for a month and crashes. This is a tough concept to accept because we've been indoctrinated with the belief that progress demands suffering, that if it isn't painful, it doesn't count. This is a false narrative, often promoted by those who benefit from your repeated failures. True, lasting change is built on sustainability, showing up and doing the work even when motivation is low, and giving 70% effort when 100% is simply not possible. As James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, frequently advises, the goal isn't to be flawless. The goal is to never miss 2 days in a row. You can miss one workout, but you don't miss 2. You can skip 1 day of writing, but you don't skip 2. That's how you build identity. That's how you actually become someone different. Not through heroic bursts of intensity, but through mundane repetition. So, if you're sitting here in early January with this massive list of aggressive commitments, I need you to cut them in half, then cut them in half again. Make them so easy you'd be embarrassed to tell someone about them. 5 push-ups a day, 1 page of reading, 10 minutes of learning. Laugh at how small they are. Then do them every single day for the next 90 days and watch what happens. You won't just achieve the goal. You'll become the kind of person who keeps promises to themselves. And that identity shift is worth more than any resolution. The third habit, and this is the one that keeps people trapped year after year, is blame redistribution. It's the art of making your lack of progress someone else's fault. And January is when this habit quietly sets in because the motivation is high but the results aren't visible yet. And the gap between expectation and reality starts to create discomfort. So you look for reasons, you look for explanations that protect your ego. It's the economy, it's your job, it's your spouse, it's your kids, it's your genetics, it's the algorithm, it's the system. It's everyone and everything except the person staring back at you in the mirror. Let me be clear. I'm not saying external circumstances don't matter. I'm not saying systemic barriers don't exist. But I am saying that every minute you spend blaming external factors is a minute you're not spending solving your actual problem. The real winners, those who transform significantly by December, don't have perfect circumstances. The third and most damaging habit is blaming outside factors, economy, job, spouse, etc., instead of taking responsibility for unmet goals. This finger pointing often starts when initial motivation fades and instant results fail to appear, using external excuses to protect the ego from the disappointment of the expectation-reality gap. Look, things go wrong outside of you, but playing the blame game just stops you from moving forward. The really successful people, the ones who see huge changes every year, own everything, even when it's not 100% their fault. The guy who blamed his boss for 5 years and quit to start his own thing struggled even more. He was the problem. Average skills, lazy, and a bad attitude. Blaming external factors gives away your power and keeps you stuck. When my generation was young, we lacked the internet and online resources, often failed and were doubted. Yet, we built lives by learning through action, observation, and getting up after public failure. Progress did not come from perfect tools. It came from persistence. If people could rise with fewer resources, fewer connections, and fewer chances, then lack of tools is not the real problem. The real problem is waiting for permission instead of taking responsibility. Your situation is not final. You have more access and opportunity than any past generation. So if you're stuck, the problem isn't access, it's execution and habits. The test is this. When things go wrong, stop blaming external factors. Client, algorithm friend. Catch the blame, acknowledge it, and ask, what could I have done differently? What was in my control that I neglected? What pattern did I repeat? The questions that matter are, what did I do? What did I choose? What did I allow? Taking full responsibility restores full power. Stop waiting for the world to change. Change your approach to it. This shift from blame to ownership is more impactful than 100 resolutions. So let's bring this back. Let's make sure you're really hearing this. You're not going to wake up on January 15th or February 1st or March 10th and suddenly feel motivated again. That's not how this works. The New Year energy is already fading. You can feel it, can't you? The shine is wearing off. The routines are creeping back in. And this is the moment. This is where most people surrender and tell themselves they'll try again next January. But you're not most people. You're someone who's tired of repeating the same year with a different number attached to it. You're someone who's ready to trade intensity for consistency, delay for execution, blame for ownership. The calendar gave you a marker, a line in the sand, a moment to decide. But the calendar won't do the work. The year won't save you. Only your habits will. Only your decisions that will be. And those decisions aren't made once on January 1st. They're made every single day, in every single moment, when no one's watching and nothing feels urgent. Think about time for a second. Really think about it. You have 12 months ahead of you, 52 weeks, 365 days. That feels like a lot right now. It feels like you have time. But let me tell you what's going to happen if you don't change your habits today. January will burn into February, February into March. Before you know it, it's summer and you've made no progress. Then fall hits and you panic. Then it's December again and you're sitting there 1 year older, making the same promises you made last December. Except this time, there's a little more doubt, a little more evidence that maybe you're just not capable of change. Maybe you're just not that person. And that doubt, that tiny seed of belief that you can't do it, will grow. It'll be there next January too, and the January after that, until one day you stop making resolutions altogether because what's the point? This is who I am. This is who I always be. The cost of not changing your habits compounds every year. Conversely, if you choose immediate execution, consistency over intensity, and full responsibility, 6 months of different small decisions will transform you. A year from now, you realize this was your turning point because you changed yourself within the year. Be honest. What did you accomplish last year? Did you finish and become who you intended? If not, you must choose a specific concrete habit to change. Try harder will only repeat the past. Choose now. Repeat or redefine. Implement a new system. Replace delay with immediate execution. Intensity with the boring consistency, and blame with the full ownership. Make this choice while the year is new. This year doesn't owe you anything. It won't hand you success because you showed up. It won't transform you because you hoped it would. This year is just a time, and time is neutral. It will pass, whether you use it or waste it. The only question is who you'll be when December comes. The same person with different excuses or a different person with the same amount of time. You decide. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, right now. Because the year is already moving and it's not going to wait for you to feel like starting. If this hit you, if something this message made you uncomfortable or angry or motivated, then you're exactly who needs to hear it. Don't let this be another thing you consume and forget. Let it be the thing that finally breaks the pattern. Now go build a year you'll actually be proud of.